This is a collaborative presentation by the Tobago Writers Guild Publishing House and the marketing team of the Tobago Writers Guild. The Tobago Writers Guild and its publishing house are pleased to offer answers to frequently asked questions about publishing in celebration of World Book and Copyright Day 2022.
The changing trends of the publishing industry. The printing press was invented in 1440 by Johannes Gunfluzuleden zum Gutenberg. This was a significant breakthrough in technology, as it enabled larger quantities of books to be available for distribution and sale. This is how the traditional publishing industry came to be. The term gatekeepers became synonymous with the publishing industry, as they had the power to decide what books would be published and therefore what books would be available to the world. In 1990, ebooks were introduced to the public, and the term self-publishing became widely used along with the terms indie author, desktop publishing, and print on demand. This is how self-publishing came to be. What is publishing? It's the activity of making information, literature, music, software, and other content available to the public for sale or for free. Traditionally, the term refers to the creation and distribution of printed works such as books, newspapers, and magazines. There are more than 7 categories of publishers, but today we will discuss 3 main types and their process. 1. Trade book or traditional publishers. 2. Self, aka vanity publishers and services. 3. Hybrid publishers. The 3 main types of publishers explained. Traditional publishers acquire, edit, produce, publish, and sell the books you are most likely to see in a brick-and-mortar bookstore. Publishers generally publish books in a broad variety of formats: hardcover, paperbacks, ebooks, audiobooks, in a wide selection of topics and genres. Self-publishers and services allow an author to see their book in print or online, accessible to an audience, while the author retains the right to their intellectual property. Some such services are Lulu, Barnes & Noble, Nook Press, and iUniverse. Hybrid publishers. They are a happy marriage of aspects of the self-publishing and traditional publishing, offering authors a level of in-house editorial expertise, distribution support, and sharing in the profits of book sales. Some hybrid publishers are TWG Publishing House, She Writes, Entangled, and Book Trope. Traditional publishers compared to self-publishers. Traditional publishing is when a writer submits their work either on their own or through a literary agent and has it selected for publication. The best part is, there is no cost attached to this form of publishing. The publisher is responsible for the costs associated with editing, marketing, and producing the book. They very often will give advances to the author upon signing the book deal, and the author receives a royalty of about 7 to 12% based on all book sales, but the author does not retain the rights over their intellectual property. Self-publishing is when an author pays to have their work published. It means that you, the writer, have to bear the cost of editing, designing, marketing, and producing your book. You may also pay a professional at each point to do the work for you. If you pay rather than be paid to publish your book, it is considered self-publishing. The self-published print book market increased from a mere 6% to 92% in the USA in 2018. 8 steps to being self-published: writing, editing, designing, metadata, publishing, marketing, distribution, and join the club. 8 steps to becoming a published author explained. W. Writing. 8 out of 10 famous published authors advise that you write daily. E. Editing. Types of editing. Manuscript critique. This is a high-level examination of your manuscript for the overall feel by the reader for the material. Comprehensive edit. The focus is on the effective use of language to communicate your story to a reader. Copy edit. This focuses on issues with spelling, grammar, punctuation, and internal text inconsistencies. Proofread. The final manuscript is reviewed for any awkward page breaks and empty spaces. D. Designing. Interior book design. Typesetting, aka book formatting, has rules for various elements within a book to make it more readable, ensuring a pleasant reading experience for your audience. Exterior book design. Your book cover is the first impression readers get. While it's important to be unique, it's equally important to pay attention to what comparable book covers in your genre look like. M. Metadata. This is any data that describes your book. For example, title, subtitle, price, publication date, ISBN, and any other relevant information that readers can use to find your book. Readers depend on good metadata to find their next read. It is also fondly referred to as your book's sales force. P. Publishing. With traditional publishing, you submit your book proposal to as many publishing companies as you desire and wait to be possibly selected for publication. With self-publishing, you simply shop around to reputable self-publishers, to providers, and select one and have your book published. M. Marketing. We highly recommend that you begin thinking about your marketing strategy during the writing process. Building and maintaining a successful author platform doesn't happen overnight. D. Distribution. The playing field now level. Indie authors can access the same book distribution channels as are available to traditional publishers, and so indie authors are no longer limited to where their books can be found. J. Join the club. Print some business cards and feel free to use the title of published author. That is exactly what you are now, and no one can take that away from you. Lastly, celebrate. Pros versus pros. The pros of self-publishing are the cons of traditional publishing, and vice versa. Pros of self-publishing. 1. You are guaranteed that your book will be published. 2. You retain total creative control over your book. 3. You have flexible publishing times as there are no deadlines, and you, the author, has the option to postpone a book. 4. You can earn an average of 70% royalties for ebooks and 50% for prints. Pros of traditional publishing. Traditional publishing is considered prestigious, and literary affairs are available. 2. You have the support of an editorial, design, and marketing team. 3. Production costs are paid by the publisher. And lastly, 4. There is automatic distribution to physical bookstores. Advantages of self-publishing. Here is some data about the self-publishing process from a survey by Taylist in 2012. 70% of authors format their own book and design its interiors. 41% of self-publishers paid for a cover designer, the most popular form of help. 29% of self-publishers paid for copy editing. 34% more profit is made by authors who get help with story editing, copy editing, proofreading, and cover designing. Do I have to publish a physical book to be recognized as an author? If you have content that's available to the public for sale or for free, print copy, an ebook or audiobook, you are a published author. A person who self-publishes their work and intends to make a living from writing and publishing their books is an indie author. Indie authors retain control of their own publishing rights. Famous indie authors. Beatrix Potter, author of Peter Rabbit. After self-publishing the book, a London firm which had originally rejected her manuscript offered Potter a publishing contract. They went on to publish 22 more of her books over 40 years. E. L. James, author of 50 Shades of Grey. She used a small Australian company to self-publish the book and made it available as an ebook via print on demand. It became an overnight sensation thanks to the word-of-mouth marketing of her fans. 3. Mike Malowitz, the author who bought 20,000 copies of his own book. Confident that his book would be a bestseller, he self-published and bought 20,000 copies of it and stored them in his basement. Penguin Books was so impressed with the book sales that they bought the print rights. What is print on demand? As the name suggests, books are not printed until an order is received. There's a type of printer that allows a company to cost-effectively make single prints or small quantities. When you use print on demand, you don't need a big inventory investment, not to mention finding storage space. Some print-on-demand publishers are Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, Lulu Express, Contrado Print on Demand, AccuTrack, Blurb, Ingram Spark, BookBaby, Gelato, Gear Launch, and more. Pros and cons of on-demand printing. Pros: it's easy to set up. All to little inventory headaches. Hands-off fulfillment. And you can focus on what you're good at. Cons: lower profit margins, limited control over the customer's experience, limited data compared to dropship existing items, and limited product types compared with the larger dropshipping sites. Print-on-demand statistics. Authors who self-publish on Amazon through KDP earn 70% royalty on books priced between $2.99 and $9.99, and a 35% royalty on books that cost more or less than that. Summary. While self-publishing allows the author to retain the rights over their manuscript, gives them flexibility of time, and of their talent, the following should be considered. Self-publishing is significantly more expensive than the traditional form of publishing because the author has to finance every step of the process. Costs. Editor and proofreading can cost from $1,500 to $4,000 per book. Cover design or illustration artist can cost $400 or more, depending on how many illustrations are needed. Printing, it can cost you from $9,000 to $12,000. Print on demand. This is by far the less expensive route to publishing, and with a smart marketing strategy, an author may be able to quickly recoup their expenses. Traditional publishers no longer control the storytelling narrative. The only one that decides when to write and publish is you. Q&A. We have a brief presentation survey where you can ask any question you would like to have addressed. The answers you seek will be emailed to you. To participate in our survey, comment below, "I want to participate." We want to thank the TWG marketing team for their contribution to this very important presentation. Anne-Marie Davis. She is the Tobago Writers Guild Vice President and soon-to-be first-time published author of her collection of poems and short stories. She's a writer of extempos and a seasoned master of ceremonies. Yeshiba Gavriel. She is a soon-to-be first-time published author of Chrissy and the Mango Stories, with a book launch coming in May 2022. She is also the Assistant Secretary of the Tobago Writers Guild. Crystal Gittins-Kaby. She is a published author of From Chains to Change, A Renewed Consciousness, with the launch of her third book, If Dogs Could Talk, coming soon. And myself, Jewel Green George. I am a published writer and soon-to-be first-time published author of a novel. I am also the Guild's marketing director and one of the directors of the Tobago Writers Guild Publishing House. We have now come to the end. Thank you for taking the time to view our presentation.